Welcome to Business 641, Team 5, Video Number 3, The Cultural and Political Environments of the Nordic Countries by Maria DeGiglio. These are the flags of the Nordic countries. As can be seen, all flags bear the Nordic crosses representing Christianity. This is a map of the Nordic countries. Note that the Scandinavian countries include Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. Finland, although Nordic, is not Scandinavian. Let's talk a bit about the cultural environment of Nordic Europe. In Denmark, people are primarily Danish, and Danish is the official language. In Finland, the people are primarily Finn, and the official language is Finnish. In Norway, the people are primarily Norwegian, and Bokmål, Norwegian, is the official language. In Sweden, the people are primarily Swedish, and Swedish is the official language. Just some observations. In each Nordic country, there is over 80% ethnic homogeneity. However, there is a smattering of other cultures and ethnicities. The majority of people in all four countries are Lutheran. American anthropologist Clifford Geertz observed that culture is the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. Indeed, referring to the bar chart of Hofstede's indices, the following observations can be made. Regarding power distance, all Nordic countries are low, with Denmark having the lowest score. They are egalitarian countries. With individualism, all Nordic countries scored high, with Denmark having the highest score. The individuality, and independence are paramount. In masculinity, all scored low, because women's roles are on par with those of men. Regarding uncertainty avoidance, there is a mix of scores. The Nordics tend to be balanced between short and long-term orientation, and regarding indulgence, the Nordics scored high. It would be remiss not to mention the term hygge, which is the Danish Scandinavian word for cozy. But the meaning and practice of hygge transcends the abstract principles of just coziness, comfort, and conviviality. It's a feeling of well-being and mindfulness, being in the present, and it extends to home decor and to embracing the outdoors and outdoor sports. The four Nordic countries are considered to be advanced with high incomes. They are highly connected, and the U.S. is particularly and genuinely interested in doing business within the Nordic countries. General Nordic customs and business practices are rooted in cultural values. All Nordic countries are similar in their customs and business practices. In terms of the business culture, some of the influential values within the Nordic countries are egalitarianism, family orientation, respect, and cooperation. Punctuality and politeness are expected, and time is monochromatic. In Denmark, the Danes are egalitarian and use gender-neutral words. They are modest and collectivistic. Women are highly respected in business, receive equal pay, and have access to senior positions. In business, appointments are necessary. Business cards are exchanged, and the Danes use their professional title and their surname. In Finland, the people are modest, humble, and courteous. Serial conversation is the rule. Interrupting is rude. One often repeats the first and surname while shaking hands. Norwegians are humble, modest, and do not think big. They do not criticize others. They see everyone on equal footing, and they do not flaunt their wealth or their financial achievements. In business, style is informal, relationships are transactional, and communication is direct. In Sweden, in business, an agenda is distributed to individuals prior to the meeting. All individuals are expected to contribute. The first meeting is usually general, and no decisions are made. It is recommended one tone down their sales pitch or likely be viewed as insincere. Let's look at the political environment of the Nordic countries. The general political system and climate in the Nordics is democratic. All have civil law and all are free nations. Regarding political risk, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden are at 80 to 100% politically stable. Finland, like the US, is 70 to 79% politically stable. Even though there are still monarchies in the Scandinavian countries, civil law prevails. All heads of government are prime ministers. Denmark is described as a rich, modern society with state-of-the-art infrastructure and distribution systems. The Danes have a highly skilled labor force and are an excellent distribution point for commerce. Standard of living is among the highest in the world. The country is an advocate of liberal trade and investment policies and actively encourages foreign investment. Political and commercial relations with the U.S. are excellent. The U.S. is Denmark's largest trading partner outside the EU. Finland is considered highly eclectic, from its agriculture to it being a trend-setting global center for technology and design. Finland routinely ranks at the very top of international surveys on education, quality of life, competitiveness, and transparency. The U.S. is the third largest market for Finnish exports and Finland's seventh largest source of imports. Norway is modern and energy rich. Norway is one of the world's wealthiest countries. Its global financial position is strong and it promotes a liberal environment for foreign trade. Norway is the world's third largest exporter of natural gas. The majority of Norwegians are fluent in English and many have close cultural and family ties to the U.S. Norwegian business ethics are similar to those of the U.S. While Norway is not a member of the European Union, it is linked to the EU through the European Area Agreement. Sweden has the largest Nordic economy. It has a highly developed, sophisticated, and diversified market with few barriers to entry. Over 1,300 U.S. companies are present in Sweden. More American companies operate in Sweden than companies from any other foreign country. There are various laws and regulations that apply to U.S. firms conducting business in the Nordic countries. Throughout the Nordics and Europe, products tested and certified in the United States to U.S. regulations and standards may have to be retested and recertified to EU requirements as a result of the EU's different approach to the protection of the health and safety of its consumers and the environment. Where products are not regulated by specific EU technical legislation, they are always subject to the EU's General Product Safety Directive, as well as to possible additional national standards. Many standards in the EU are adopted from international standards bodies such as the International Standards Organization. The drafting of specific EU standards is handled by three European standards organizations: the European Committee for Standardization, the European Committee for Electrotechnical Standardization, and European Telecommunications Standards Institute. There are also Nordic country-specific standards organizations, and note that all Nordic countries are members of the EU except for Norway. In Denmark, the Danish Standards Association is a private, non-profit organization. Its mission is to provide services pertaining to standardization, certification, and the communication of knowledge. In Finland, Finnish national standards are mainly European or international standards through technical committees or working groups of the CEN or ISO. In Norway, there are three standards bodies: Standards Norway, the Norwegian Electrotechnical Committee, and the Norwegian Communications Authority. The Swedish Standards Institution, SIS, develops or revises over 1,300 Swedish and international standards annually within most business areas. To sell products in EU markets, U.S. exporters are required to apply CE marking whenever their product is covered by specific product legislation. CE marking is a certification mark that indicates conformity with health, safety, and environmental protection standards for products sold within the European Economic Area, and this includes the Nordics. As can be seen in the Business Culture Complexity Index, Denmark ranks first as being the easiest country with which to conduct business, with Norway second, Finland third, and Sweden eighth. This is in comparison to the US, which ranks 19. Scores are based on 14 data sets, including but not limited to trust, ease of doing business, economic freedom, human development, literacy, position in the world, and egalitarianism. As such, the Nordic countries scored high as having happy people and well-functioning countries that take care of their citizens. Nordic cultures are more open to dealing with outsiders and have less collective and protective approaches to business and commercial relationships. The commercial environments provide minimal barriers to entry. This student highly recommends that the U.S. continue trade relations and also to further strengthen those relations with the Nordic countries. Thank you very much for viewing and listening to the presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions. The following are simply references.